What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Kickin' Bass TV. Today, talking about how to catch more bass during the post-spawn. It can be a difficult time of year for some anglers. We'll give you some suggestions on where to target them after the spawn and some baits that work great for this time of year as well. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button down below. Let's go. All right, guys, today we're talking about the post-spawn funk, time of year where for 2 to 3 weeks, immediately after the bass spawn, it can be pretty difficult to catch them. You've got a lot going on in the water around them with carps, cats, gills, and shad all starting their spawning process around that same time. You've got the females that have pushed out to deeper waters to spend a week or two in recovery mode and honestly won't be doing a whole lot of feeding or anything else until they fully recovered. You got the male fry garters that will primarily stick to shallow rocky flats, areas with grass lines, reeds, tules, or things that provide shade cover to them. What you'll see a lot of those male fry garters doing is just keeping their young safe, keeping them corralled against those rocky areas or those bank lines, safe from predators until they get big enough to go out and do their own thing. If I'm in an area like this where it's rocky, they've got a drop off that gives them access to shallow and deep water. I know they're not on a feed bite. It's all about reaction bait. So a lipless, a square bill, or something like this deep diving fat-free shad that's got a heavy duty, sturdy bill that I can deflect off of that cover, bang in and out of those rocks along the shoreline here, create a ton of noise, vibration, and just agitate that bass because those fry garters' main priority is protecting the hatch. So if you can get them to come up and inspect that bait, inspect what's going on, and force them to make a decision on whether or not they're gonna try to clear that out, protect their young, or risk them being caught, that is what's gonna do it for you. As you can see right here on the second cast, just banging that fat-free shad off those shallow rocks parallel to the bank, and we had one run up and absolutely smack it. Unfortunately, halfway through bringing them in, ended up spitting it and popping off, which is the name of the game sometimes, but very effective lure choice for areas like that with a lot of rock. Now, fortunately, a couple of minutes later, we ended up getting one in that same spot, and this one we got on a tandem spinner blade. Got one of our 3.3 dead ringer spin baits on there as a trailer. Another great option. Swim baits like our Big Bass Hunter are great, whether you're targeting suspended bass out in open water or you're trying to draw them out of areas with heavy cover like this timber line that you see along the bank here. Now you can fish it subsurface, topwater style on a straight burn like you see us doing here. And because it's a slow sinking bait, it's not gonna plummet through the column, and you don't have to worry about getting hung up in some of those shallower problematic areas. You can twitch it similar to the way that you would fish a glide bait, and it will suspend and draw them in from farther away. Another thing I'll throw this time of year leading all the way into the fall is a swim jig, because it's an effective way to target those suspended open water bass, as well as have a weedless presence around those grass lines, reeds, and tules. A finesse jig with a half a craw or a curly tail grub is a great downsized presentation, lends itself to both applications, whether you're targeting those suspended post-recovery females that are out in the open water starting to feed up again, or you want to slow roll in the shallow water. We've got a couple of male fry garters here hanging out around their hatch, just doing their thing. We got it at a dead stop and just subtle little movements, just twitching that jig, getting the skirt tails to move. Both of them charged in at it, and just like that, we got another one. After that, we ended up catching a handful of sunfish and bluegill on the other side of that brush pile where we just caught that bass. And what was happening was those fry garters were sticking to the shallow side next to the grass line, the bank here, where they could protect them from those bluegill, which can be an absolute nuisance to their newly hatched fry. So being that we want to imitate that and sort of match the hatch, as they say, broke out the Savage Gear structure gill. It's something we typically fish during the spawn to catch bedding bass, but it also lends itself to this type of application. We fished it right over the top of all those male fry garters, and sure enough, got another one to come up and hammer the bluegill. So don't be afraid to experiment with different baits. Try some of the things we talked about. Look in those key locations to spot those post-spawn bass, and if you're having trouble, it's always a good idea to try to find out what else is in your fishery that they're foraging on and try to match that profile, because it's going to play a key factor in your success rate during that post-spawn funk period. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because that's the best way to show your support. And if you're interested in getting your hands on some of our custom baits, whether you want to try out soft plastics or check out the new swim bait or lipless crankbait, leave me a comment in the comment section down below, or click the link in the video description. That will take you over to our Instagram page where you can shoot me a message and I will get you taken care of. Until next time, guys, I'm D with Kickin' Bass TV.
Subscribe.